How's everybody this evening? Hopefully there's some of you come in. Don't look like we have many in right now. I've been real excited about this. Looks like Reapers, are you still here? Brownberry Jamboree, my girl. It's always good to see you. Oh, there's Hashi. Special guest. That's Brown. You need the link again, Hashi? I'll try to get you started on this. Rake's Funny Farm. Welcome, welcome. Welcome, everybody. You know, I just got to tell y'all. Last week I thought I was going to be pretty nervous. Nope, not a bit. That felt really, really, really good, really natural, and I just had a blast. I just had to tell y'all. You know, my first live, and I had around 30 people in there, and I was just tickled to death. Just tickled to death. You guys, this I'm embarking on a new adventure, and you can ask my husband. I like adventures. We'll go on a drive, and I'll say, let's go down this way. And say, I don't know about that. I said, well, it's an adventure. Let's go. There's Hash. Is your mic working? It'll tell you. Test your mic and test you. Lean on me. Hey, girl. Oh, gosh. No, honey. You're the one who's beautiful. You got it going on, girl. Got it going on. You there, Hash? There you go, Hashy.
Bear with me. I've been sick, so I sound pretty rough.
Oh, no. You're fine. You're fine. Just happy you're here with me.
I'm happy to be here with you, girlie.
That's awesome. Awesome. See if we can't get a few more people coming on in. That beautiful Miss Lean on me, girl. You got it going on. Well, me and Hashy's been talking about this all week. We were absolutely, Hash Brown lives up there around the area where this all took place, and she's familiar with it. And, I think me and Hashy got closer because of this trial. And it's just, I don't know how many of y'all are familiar with it. I said, well, maybe I can't get familiar with it, but I'm thinking, well, no, they need to learn it from us. Try to keep their attention. But yeah, Hash Brown is a lot more familiar with it than I am. But I watched all of George Wagner's trial. Not so much lately. I've been going through a little bit of health problems. I need a makeover. I knew you've been going through quite a bit, Lean on me, and I told you that I had you in my prayers, and I really, really meant that. Because I know how it is, girl. We all get sick, and some of us have a lot more problems than than the rest of us. And I know, girl, you've been going through quite a bit. And I'm sorry about that. And I just pray that the good Lord touches you and heals you and just takes a hold of you and just cleanses you completely. Because we know He can do it. We know that. There's my brown bear jamboree, girl. I'm trying to keep my volume down a little bit because last week I was informed that I was real loud throughout the house, so I just get so excited. Get real excited. So let's see, how many we got in here, guys? I know everybody's not talking. Oh, 6? Wow. I was really hoping we'd have a better audience this week. I sure was. There, Jinkies ain't here. Sherry told me she's gonna be here. So I don't know. Has she?
Yes, ma'am.
What do you think? What do you think we're gonna have anybody this week? Last week seemed like we had quite a few people coming in, but this week it seems like it's down. Huntress down south, girl. Thank you for coming. I appreciate it so much.
Oh, no problem, hun. I wouldn't miss it for the world.
I know you wouldn't. I know you wouldn't. This is this is going to be very, very informative for everybody that shows up. So just hope some of them keep coming in.
I had to go back and brush up on all the details myself. There's so many.
Yeah, I know.
I don't know if you've seen the hearing. Billy's trial is going to be, I think, May 6th.
Yes, and if they don't change it, which I hope they don't. Yeah, yeah, but you were talking about the docket with that he made an announcement that he had some new material that he was going to bring out, and I'm excited about that.
Yeah, they said it was behind the chambers too. So
yeah,
Lord only knows what was said back there.
Yeah, right. Well, I'll tell you what. Let's just go ahead and get started. And as everybody comes in, maybe they can join in with us. Okay.
Sounds like a plan.
All right. So I don't know how many of y'all know about this, but there was a family, the Rhoden family, that in Piketon, Ohio. And do you want to tell the story, Hashi?
Yeah, we both can.
Well, you go ahead. You go ahead. You're real familiar, more familiar with it than I am. And then if you need me to take over, I'll take over. Okay.
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 So,
I'll mute myself.
I had family friends, I'll say, who actually knew these people and were very close to them. They worked at a campground near the area, and that's how my family friend had gotten close with them. He had a permanent campsite down there. So he's seen these people for years, all the time. He ended up becoming really good friends with Chris Sr. So that's kind of what brought me into the story and got me so hooked. But there were 8 family members that lived in Pike County, Ohio, and there was Chris Rhoden Sr., his wife Dana, and they had kids, Frankie, Hannah Mae, and Chris Jr. Well, there was also Kenneth Rhoden, which was Chris's brother, and Gary Rhoden, which was their cousin. On the morning of April 22nd, 911 gets a call from Billy Joe Manley, which was Dana Rhoden's sister. She came every morning to Chris Sr.'s house to feed his animals. No, Billy is actually not in any of the pictures. That's Dana. So that's Billy Joe's sister. Um, so she goes down to feed the animals and goes walk. She had a key. She goes into the trailer and she finds Chris Rhoden Sr. and Gary Rhoden deceased. When she walked in, there was blood everywhere, drag marks, and she finds them in a back bedroom. So she runs out, she calls 911, and this is a part of Appalachia, so it's a very royal area. There's, you don't have real close neighbors most of the time. It ends up taking them, I believe, 30 some minutes to even get there. So by the
Wow.
time they get there, um, there's another fella, which ends up being Dana's brother, James, who flags a sheriff down. In the meantime, from the sheriff coming, he goes down to Dana's new trailer that Chris had just bought her and finds her deceased. Billy Joe ends up going next door and finds Frankie deceased. So they all lived on this road. Dana, Chris Jr., and Hannah Mae had just moved into this trailer that Chris Sr. had bought for them. Real nice place. She had had her garages built, the whole 9 yards. And him and Gary was staying down in the trailer that they were found in. And then, yeah, Frankie and Frankie's wife, which her name is Hannah Gilly, they lived next door, where Chris and Gary was. And they had two babies. One was, I believe, 2 or 3 at the time. And then they had a 6-month-old. So when Billy goes next door to Frankie's, the 2-year-old comes to the door because the door's locked, and she has to talk him, tell him how to unlock the door. He unlocks the door and he tells her, he's like, Daddy's covered in blood. She goes in and she finds him and the wife and this 6-month-old baby in the bed, and the baby is actually in between them, trying to feed off of Hannah Gilly. So by the time the cops get there, 3 trailers have been found with all the family. So it instantly becomes this huge investigation. Later in the day, a cousin had went down, I think it was around 11 miles, to tell Chris Sr.'s brother, that they found all of them deceased, and they find him deceased in a trailer that he was living in. So you have a total of 8 family members, with them just hours that are deceased. Instantly, people are saying it could be cartel related, because they found 3 marijuana ops on Chris Sr.'s property. And the way that they were shot, made them think, it was close range. So they believed that it could be cartel. And that's kind of how the story starts. I don't know if you want to add in anything so far, but.
No, I remember. Now, didn't Hannah Rhoden? Then she had just given birth 5 days before that of her little baby, right?
Yeah, she had just got home from the hospital.
Yeah.
And then she also had another daughter named Sophia, who.
But she was with her father that day.
Yeah.
With the family.
Which the father's good old Jake Wagner.
Yeah. Yeah. We'll get to know Jake a little later.
Yeah. So the investigation starts. The whole family gathers nearby at this local church. And I mean, it instantly was just kind of a madhouse. So much going on. They end up finding, when they found Frankie's baby, he was covered in blood, where he'd been trying to feed off his mom and stuff, and they didn't know for sure if he was hurt. So they did get him, took him to the hospital, and also got the 5-day-old baby after they found her nursing off her mother as well, covered in blood. So they ended up, James Manley's wife, April, ends up going to the hospital with the babies. Jake actually shows up at the hospital to check on the
Yeah.
baby.
Yeah, he wanted to take the little baby home and take care of it too, didn't he? Even
Yeah,
though it wasn't his baby.
yeah. The father of that baby was actually Hannah Gilly's brother. And so, but Jake wanted it to be his, the whole time. He actually had offered Hannah to be with Hannah and take the baby on as his own, but she didn't want to do that. Hannah had actually got with another boy. Her and Charlie didn't work out, and she had got with another boy named Corey. And he had basically been there, during the whole pregnancy and helped her with the Sophia. So that was her new boyfriend, who he was actually supposed to stay the night that night, and his sister's water pipes had busted. And so he was at the sister's working on the water pipes, and he never made it to Hannah's, which now we know by the grace of God that he didn't.
Right.
So moving forward, they really didn't have a lot of suspects. Nothing was really said, I believe, for the first 2.5 years. This was April of 2016. November of 2018, on the news one day, we get notified that 4 family members had been arrested in connection to this case. And that was the Wagner family, which was Jake Wagner, his brother George, and his mom and dad, Billy and Angela. So once that happens, all hell kind of breaks loose, I'll say. They end up getting arrested. Shortly after they're arrested, 2 of the grandmas are arrested. So Billy's mother, Frederica, is arrested, and so is Rita Newcomb, which is Dana's mom. And they are charged with, let's see, Rita was charged with, I believe, forgery. They was charging Frederica for a vest that she had ordered shortly after the murders.
Yeah,
They
very good
ended,
old Frederica.
which they ended up, Rita ends up coming clean, admits that she did not forge the papers and that her daughter had forged these papers. So she ends up taking like a plea deal or whatever. Frederica is never charged. She was let without prejudice, which means she can be charged at a later date. So between us, I'm hoping they get her
Right.
eventually. So, anyways, back to the story. After their arrest, they sit in jail for quite some time. We don't really hear much until the anniversary date in 2021. And Jake comes forward and admits that they all were a part of killing this family. So he ends up taking a plea deal, which gives him, I forget what all he ends up getting, but he's basically going to be charged, for life. His only request is that they take the death penalty off the table for the other 3, which Angela ends up coming forward and taking a plea deal. And she got a little Peasley 30 years for her part,
Right.
which is ridiculous to me because, these
It
parents
is.
were mainly to blame, and especially Angela. Angela was very manipulative and abusive. So, anyways, so yeah, after that, George and Billy are left, which we know that George had his trial and he received, what, 5 life sentences, I believe. He's
Yeah.
never going to get out either. So now we're waiting on Billy Boy to be tried. During Jake's testimony, that's when we finally learn all kinds of information.
Yeah.
It comes out Then that, let me get all my notes together because this is where it gets wild. So, George, which is Jake's brother, had gotten married years prior to all this mess in 2012 to a girl named Tabby. And she ends up moving in with him and his family. Tabby came from an abusive home herself. And her and George get married and they end up having a little boy named Bullvine. Um, she ends up coming to trial and testifying and telling her own story during this mess. And we find out that George was abusive to her. The whole family abused her. She wasn't allowed to talk to her family for over a year. They listened when she was able to make phone calls. They listened to all her phone calls. They actually had accused her of poisoning the baby at one point in time. Accused her of abusing the baby. It gets pretty bad to where she's ready to leave. So one night, Angela comes out. They get into a big fight over the baby. And Ange comes out, tells her that she's getting a gun, ends up throwing a 2x4 at her. So Tabby takes off. She runs and hides.
This
And
is Abby.
she runs down to the local gas station. Now, like I said, it's a rural area, so it took her a minute to get there. In the meantime, they had came in the car, was trying to get her back in the car, went and called the cops themselves and said that she was the abuser. Um, Anyways, long story short, they end up getting divorced later on. George ends up getting a lawyer, though, and pretty much screws her completely over. He takes full custody of the baby, tricks her into signing her rights over. So the only thing she's left with at this time is supervised visits with this child. And during that time, I believe, is they also accused her of uh, poisoning the baby.
Yeah.
I mean, she was made to give him the passwords to her computer. At one time, she says that Angela would come in at night. Now, remind you, Tabby and George are married. But she would come in at night and tell Tabby that she had to leave the room so she could talk to George and scratch his back. So it was a very weird situation. The dynamics were strange.
Yeah.
Back to Jake and Hannah. Jake was older than Hannah. So when they met, Jake was almost 18. Hannah was only 13. They met at like a 4-H group in like 2010. They end up getting married. They weren't able to get married actually yet. So what they done was they went and got wedding rings tattooed on both their fingers. Hannah becomes pregnant a few years into the relationship at 15. By this time, Jake's 20. And that's how the first child that Hannah has comes about. During the pregnancy, Hannah realizes that he is an asshole. He's very controlling. He was threatening her by force during the pregnancy, threatened to take the baby. She ended up moving in with them at one point, after they got together. So that's when all this abuse happens with her. But Hannah didn't take no crap. And an incident ends up happening where Jake choked Hannah. She calls her dad and leaves and gets away from him. And from that point on, Jake just kind of gets crazier and crazier with the abuse and controlling, trying to control her and stuff.
Right.
After that is when, she meets Charlie. She ends up getting pregnant by him, so now we're current with Hannah. They end up going into a custody battle. Jake wants shared custody and Hannah's not doing it. So he ends up getting a lawyer. And in the middle of the custody battle is pretty much when all this stuff starts taking place.
Yeah.
I don't know
And
if you want to chime in.
yeah, she, Hannah pretty much, though I know she made a post to Tabby. They were they were conversing back and forth using Messenger on Facebook, and which Tabby, if you remember, Tabby is George's wife, and
It was
here
actually Tabby's mom who she was
Tabby's
talking to.
mom. Okay,
Yes, ma'am.
okay,
I can't remember her name, but it was actually messages through Facebook with her.
yeah. But she basically said that they would get custody of Sophie, which Sophie's the little girl's name, over her dead body. Whenever and
Yeah, the Tabby's mom tells her, she's like, look, they did Tabby dirty. Don't sign
mhm,
anything. And Hannah's like, I'm not signing anything. They'll have
they
to
had
kill
to
me.
kill me first. Yeah,
Yeah.
that's exactly what it was.
So during the trial, we find out that Angela, Jake's mother, was actually tapped in to this Facebook Messenger and was reading all of Hannah's messages that she was sending and, people she was talking to. They had hacked into all kinds of social media accounts, basically started stalking the Rhodens. They started plotting. I guess the dad actually had came to Jake and brought the idea up, and then Jake ran with the idea that they were going to get rid of Hannah so that they could get
Mhm.
Sophia. Angela was abused as a child or a teenager when she was younger, I guess, and she always had this fear of them grandbabies getting abused. And then when Hannah Mae got with Charlie and then Corey, Angela really ramped up the fear of something happening to Sophia.
Right.
So she
They-
gets it in her idea that, something's going to happen to this baby and they accused Tabby of doing stuff. They've accused Hannah. It was
Of
just crazy the
essay,
way they thought.
essay, basically, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Um, so yeah,
But
it's a crazy.
there was no essay going on, but
No, not with any of them. There was never
no,
anything. It was all pretty much in Angela's warped mind that all this was
right.
going to happen or go on. Angela also started asking the kids when both of, Hannah and Tabby lived with her that these babies called her mom instead of calling their own mom's mom. She wanted, the little ones to call her mom. So,
Yeah.
it kind of gives you a little insight to how twisted Angela was. In my mind, she was abusive to the boys. They were controlling with the boys
Hmm.
all the way. They
But
weren't good parents. Period. We found out that Billy actually taught the boys how to break locks as kids. He would teach them how to rob things. They were charged with robbing a truck one time. They broke into a semi and stole a bunch of, what was it? I believe Rocky boots.
yes,
They
yes,
were known for this.
yes. So basically, the the police or the LE around were leaning toward the cartel as to having something to do with this, and it went what 2 years,
Yeah,
two
it was two and
years,
a half years.
2.5 years before there was a break in the case. And there was some rumors going around that they thought that the Wagners had something to do with it, but basically they had manipulated Tabby, which was George's ex-wife, to where they had custody of Bullvine, which was their little boy, and poor little Tabby was and they had manipulated to where she couldn't ever see that little boy. I think she saw him twice in 2 years, and then of course Hannah's gone now, so Jake's got Sophie exactly to exactly what he wanted because they they ended up they took their lives, but
Well, in the middle
Well,
of this, they find the custody papers also.
mhm, the
And
forged custody papers.
yep. So, I mean, if he had it to where he probably would have got Sophia, in all reality,
Hmm. Yeah, yeah. He had. They had forced. They had forged those because they knew what they were going to do. But Billy was the one who came up with exactly what they were going to do. And I guess what we'll do, we'll go ahead and get into exactly what happened that night.
okay,
But
so Jake comes forward and basically tells the whole story. He ends up admitting everything and tells them what happened, which, in my mind, thankfully he did because we really wouldn't have the details.
right, right. But the way that they actually, how was it? What was it that brought Le's attention to it? How did they find out that the Wagners were involved?
Well, I think one thing that got their radar, kind of got their attention was they ended up selling property at one point and moving all the way to Alaska.
Hmm.
Um, and I think that really kind of put them on the radar to begin with.
Yeah,
Um, so after they get to Alaska, they end up, so much stuff happens even there. That's when Jake meets Beth Ann. Um, and then, I'm not even sure what really was the breaking point, to be honest.
well, I know that they found those casings on the property. Remember, and the casings matched the casings at the
Yeah, that
at the
was at the Peterson
cemetery.
home.
Yes, at the Peterson home. Yes, because they had didn't that they had because they had that's the property that they had sold, right?
I can't even remember, Miss Chewy. There's so many
Yeah.
daggone details.
There's a lot to it, but basically they bought a truck and they took that truck and they made a false bed in it. And they picked the night that they were going to do this. Now, keep in mind that Billy, the daddy, is really good friends, supposedly, with Chris Sr. So, all these people, there's a picture, like the picture that I posted on my community page of the wedding. Now, these people were very, 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 um, they all knew each other very, very, very well. Like, and Tabby and George's wedding, uh, all of them were there except for Hannah Gilley, right? She's the
Yes.
only she's the only one that's not in the picture.
Yep.
Is Hannah
Yep.
Gilley.
Yeah.
But
Well, and then you got to keep in mind, too, I mean, Chris Jr. was only 16.
right,
He was still a baby. So, and then Frankie was, let me see, I can't remember all their ages, but I believe Frankie was only 20. Hannah Gilley was 20. Hannah Mae was only 19. I mean, Dana was only 37. Chris was 48. And Gary was 38. I think Kenny was just a few years older than
right.
Chris. So
So
all of them were pretty young, too.
so right here is Tabby, and right there's George Jr. and right there is there's Chris Sr. and Chris Jr. and what was I can't remember. Uh,
Frankie.
Frankie, yes, Frankie. There and there's Hannah and there's Angela and there's Billy and there's Jake. So there is everybody that was involved except for Hannah Gilley, which Hannah was Frankie's soon to be wife. But George and Jake and Billy they bought a truck, and they decided that they were going to build a false bed in the bottom of that truck so that George and Jake could get in it and Billy would drive it to the crime scenes. So Jake and George is in the back of the truck. Billy's driving. So I know they went to Kenneth's house first to check on him to make sure he was home and stuff there. But they didn't kill him first. They didn't kill him first, did they?
No, Kenny was known for he didn't take no crap.
Right.
None of them did. To be honest with you, none of them did. But Chris Sr. had dealt with some crap, a few months prior. Somebody was messing with him, and Kenny had his back, and I believe Kenny whooped the guy's butt. So they knew that Kenny, was going to have Chris's back. So I think that's why they may have went there first, was to make sure he was at home,
Right. They didn't need Chris and Kenny being together because they knew that they wouldn't be able to handle both of them.
Well, there was also rumors swirling, and I don't know how true they were, because there was all kinds of rumors going on. But there was rumors that Billy and Chris had gotten to a fight too previous to this, and that Chris whooped him. Now I don't know how true it is, but I do know that he had went down to the campground and met Chris and had lunch with him. I believe it was the Monday prior. Now, the night of the murders, this is how they got him. Billy ends up calling Chris and tells Chris, he said, "Look, man, I got a cell in California, for his marijuana." And he says, "We're guaranteed to make at least 100,000. I want to come over and talk to you." So that's how he gets over to Chris's house that night.
Yeah. Yeah. So Billy's driving. He's driving this truck that has the false bed in it with George and Jake in the back. And they have their guns and ready. So they end up going to Chris's first. And they basically just sabotage him. Just go in, and they actually shot Chris. George freaked though. George was supposed to shoot Chris, and George freaked and he didn't do it. So Jake shot him right in the doorway.
Well, the plan was, Chris had, which I don't know if I sent you the pictures. He had 3 buildings where he had his grow ops. So the plan was they were going to walk to one of the grow ops, and then on the way back house, George was supposed to shoot Chris, and he froze, and so Jake took over at that point. I believe Jake actually had got out of the truck. They both got out of the truck. One of them hid underneath the truck they came in, and then the other one got, I believe it was underneath Chris Sr.'s truck when they were doing the actual shoot. If it was either the truck or like a piece of equipment. I can't remember which one.
So right here is Chris Sr.'s house. And whenever they came in, they pulled in here, and they shot Chris Sr. in the doorway right here. Right?
Yeah, so what they did, him and Billy walked into the house, and Billy tells Chris, he's like, "Oh man, I can't find my phone. I need you to call the phone." So Chris walks to the door, which in my mind, I'm thinking, maybe he's thinking that the phone's out in Billy's truck, because I still can't really place why else he would have walked to that door. Right. So when he got to that door is when Jake started firing, which I believe that Billy also was firing. Well, he fired shots too in the house. Mm-hmm. But from the testimonies, Jake kind of went haywire when he was shooting. So I think Billy was a little nervous that he was about to get shot too.
Right.
But yeah, George froze. George, during the trial, we learned that George actually didn't shoot anybody. He just went along. Jake admits to shooting 5, so he admits to shooting Chris, Dana, Hannah Mae, Chris Jr., and Frankie, I believe.
Yeah.
Or Hannah, was it Hannah Gilly? I can't remember now, but I know that Hannah Gilly, which was Charlie Gilly's sister, Frankie's
Mhm.
wife, she was shot the most.
Yeah. I've actually got a picture of her body, hers and Frankie's. I've got that's the only two.
Yeah, they actually showed.
That was an accident. wasn't supposed to happen because during the trial they didn't show any.
Well, they actually slipped up and showed. I have them. I'd have to go back. I believe it was either Kenny or Chris, and you
Oh,
can
really?
see it. Yeah,
I didn't see that one. The only ones I've seen was I've got Hannah's and I've got Frankie's. But this right here is Chris's house, and that's the one that they went to first, and they ended up killing Chris and Gary, his cousin, and those two, right?
yeah.
And
I
then
believe Gary was in the chair, wasn't he?
yes, but Jake and George go in and they drag them to the back bedroom, and then covers them up,
Yep.
and then they leave there and they go over to the trailer next door, which is this one. And this is probably what, maybe 300, 400 feet away from.
Yeah, it wasn't very far at all.
Yeah, away.
There was 2 dogs, 2 pretty big dogs too at Chris's, and I remember that was one of the ways that they knew something wasn't right, because the dogs would fight, so they couldn't let them out at the same time. One of them stayed in the house and one of them stayed outside, and when Billy Joe showed up, they were both sitting outside, and she said she knew then something wasn't right,
Right.
because the dogs couldn't be with each other. And then there was rumors that Frankie fought chickens. I believe that he did,
Well,
honestly,
you
but
see, you
it's
can
very
see right there
common
that
down there, honestly.
you
I
can see.
grew up in the area next to it, the county next to it as a kid, and my stepdad used to fight chickens. His friends, and it was a very large thing that they would do down there. Now, I
Well,
don't hear about it now, but it's still going on, obviously.
well, you can see right there. He's got those little chicken houses right there, and usually that right there is a sign of fighting chickens. But they this is the house that it was Hannah Gilly and Frankie, and then they had Hannah's little boy. Hannah's little boy was there. Not, yeah, Hannah Gilly's little boy there. He was 3, right?
No, it was actually Frankie's boy
Oh,
that
that's
he
right.
had
That's
with
right. Yes.
another girl.
Right.
He was the 3-year-old, and then Frankie and Hannah had the baby that was, I believe, 6 months old. And they did show during the trial pictures of him at the hospital, and he was covered in blood. At one point, they thought that he could have been shot because they found a blood clot in his ear. There was so much blood in his ear.
Right.
But thank God, they cleaned him up and he was fine. Thank God. But none of the babies were injured. I don't know how,
Right.
honestly, in that kind of chaos, but thank God they weren't, you know.
Right. But they ended up leaving the 3-year-old. The 3-year-old, and this is actually this is the trailer that they were in. The 3-year-old, he was there asleep. and then they left their. It was the baby was 8 months old, and she left. Jake came in, went back to the bedroom, killed them two, execution. I mean, execution style. Killed them two, left the babies. Thank God they left the babies. And then they left there and then went down to the house where Hannah and Chris Jr. and Dana were, right?
Yeah, they found Frankie's 2-year-old was asleep that night on the couch.
Yes. Okay,
Um,
he was two. Okay, I was
It was
thinking
2
he
or
was
3.
three. Yeah.
2 or 3, I can't remember, around that age. He might have been 3, honestly, now that you said that. But yeah,
Yeah.
they end up going down to Dana's. And that was hard to listen to. When Jake told that part. I don't
Yeah.
know how he was able to do it. He walked in and he went to Dana's room first, which I still don't
Right here.
understand why, because Chris
She was
Jr.'s
awake.
room was closer.
Right.
Yeah, they
He
said she
passed
was on
him.
her phone.
Yeah. He went past they went past Chris Jr. Went into Dana's, and he said that she saw him.
Yeah,
And
Dana did home health, or she worked at a nursing home, and
yeah.
they said she was a real hard worker, and she would always do double shifts. And I believe that day she had actually done a double shift.
Mm-hmm.
And then I think she was supposed to get off at 11, and I think she still was kind of running behind because she didn't get home until later. They were going to go
Right.
to Dana's first and realized that Dana wasn't home. That was at one point in the trial. It was
Right.
said that that's
Yes.
why they didn't go there, because she wasn't home yet.
Right. So he ended up killing Dana, and then the bedroom next door was where Hannah was. Hannah
Yeah,
and
they
her.
said it was only about 5 steps
Mm-hmm.
from Dana's down a hallway, and
And
when
it
he
was,
went in there, she was feeding the baby.
yeah,
So I think
5
she
days.
was kind of in and out of sleep too, you know.
Yeah. And he said that she looked at him. She looked up at him and saw him.
Yep.
And
He says he doesn't know if she recognized him, but my God, I'd say
right.
she probably did, you know. I
Yeah.
don't know, but yeah, so then he ends up taking her out, and then
Then
they
he positioned, but he picked her up off the floor, positioned her on the bed to where that baby could nurse her dead body.
yeah, he rearranged her.
Mm-hmm.
Yep. And
Because
then
he didn't want anything to happen to the baby.
yep. Well, and then George was in the doorway at the opening of the house, and he was supposed to be kind of looking out to make sure that Chris Jr. didn't get up, because that's where the shoe print had came into play with the
Right.
whole shoe thing. But yeah, they end up shooting Chris Jr., and then they leave, and I don't understand why they did this part, but they go back to Chris Sr.'s house and got his truck
Right.
and drove to
Here's
Kenny's.
here's some of the drag marks that was in that house. It was terrible. But yeah, they went. He went, and did you tell him about where they went and killed Chris? Went, and he was covered up in the bed, wasn't he?
Chris Sr. was. I don't think Jr. was. He did put a pillow over Dana's face, because
Yes. Oh
when
yeah,
James
because
found her, he knew
he
something was
pulled
wrong,
it.
because he
Yeah.
said that the pillow was actually stuck to the blood on her face.
Yeah. Yeah, I remember that. I mean, we could get into the trial, and I mean, and and go covering it, but we're just trying to give you basically an overview of everything that happened, because the trial for George took 8 weeks. It was a very, very, very long trial for that small community, and I
It
know
was
that.
actually the longest trial in Ohio history.
Wow, that's crazy. It's crazy. But
Well,
then,
and then you've got the whole Norman Reedus. I don't know if you remember that part, but
mm-hmm,
Jake and George actually dyed their hair a week before the murders. Jake thought that he looked like Norman Reedus from The Walking Dead. They said he was obsessed with The Walking Dead and the Boondock Saints movies. So that actually comes in to the trial as well,
there
because
is so many details.
Jake ends up telling them that they watched a clip of Boondock Saints 2. It was called Ding Dong Mother Effer, but
Mm-hmm.
they watched that clip before they went to do all this.
Yes, but after they killed Hannah and and Frankie, they ended up going to, well, they've already killed Hannah and Frankie, and then they went down and killed Dana, Chris Jr., and Hannah, and then they go to Kenneth's, which now this is going to make 4 different crime scenes. And so they drive over to Kenneth's, which he's living in a camper. And I don't know if yeah, but there's a whole lot of people that live in campers, especially down here where I live, because I live around a lake, and there's a lot of people that live in the campers. But
Oh, there was also a grow up at Kenny's, and I think
mm-hmm,
that was also part, kind of fed into that cartel stuff in the beginning as well.
right,
But they did so many things too during all this, from Jake buying silencers and all that kind of stuff. They also bought phone jammers, bug detectors, so that they could detect any cameras that was on the property. And they took because Chris Sr. had cameras, and they
mm-hmm,
ended up taking the cameras and destroying them, so there was no evidence from that either.
yeah, but they said that they went in, and it was which one was it that killed Kenneth? Was it Jake or was it Billy?
I believe it was Billy. And then that was another thing that kind of threw investigators off, because there was money strewn on Kenny. There was like dollars. So I don't know if they robbed him. You know what I mean? Because I know they were charged with burglary. Chris
Mm-hmm.
Sr. had safes on his property. And I don't know what was taken, what wasn't. When it comes to that stuff, they never really got into anything like that. But there was definitely stuff taken from the properties.
Right, right. But so after they unalived them or killed them, we might as well say it because we've been saying it all evening. But they took them. They decided where they had the 2 kids, that they were going to move away to Alaska. So because they knew that they were being looked at, so they moved to Alaska. Jake ends up getting out there, and he ends up finding another girl and marries her. Well, I will have to let you listen to a lot of the testimony, because I mean, just some of the testimony is just absolutely, it you would not believe it. You would not believe at some of the things that these people put these other people through. I mean, it was just, it's just unimaginable. But this right here is that's little Sophia.
Yeah, they've
And
actually got her in protective. The kids are all in protective custody even now after
right.
everything. Beth Ann, I actually spoke with her. I felt so sorry for her. She had came from like a Amish family,
Mm-hmm.
and she had actually gotten pregnant by Jake and had a miscarriage during all this. So, and he was abusive to her. We learned in the trial, the crap he put her through. She had to flee for her life. I do believe that Beth's testimony helped tremendously with showing the abuse, between her and Tabby. That they really helped Hannah Mae's story kind of be told. You know what I mean?
Exactly. Exactly. Yeah. Just like Toaster Oven said, they took out anybody that could claim the kids.
Yeah, well,
That
and they had
that
came to the agreement that anybody that was in those trailers that night was gonna die. Chris Jr. was supposed to have a friend spend the night, and he had gotten in trouble, and Dana had taken away his car, and he wasn't allowed to have the friend over. It's kind of like blessings in disguise, for some of these people because they very well could have been in these trailers. There could have been more than just the 8. Sadly.
yeah. Yeah, that's true. That's true. But I think that basically they killed uh Hannah Gilley because she was there. Because she's basically collateral damage.
I think that Jake had a lot of hate towards her though because of her being Charlie Gilly's sister, honestly.
Yeah,
Because it didn't make sense to her for her to have the 5 shots. To me that kind of showed, anger.
that's true, isn't it?
Yeah, cuz you
Yeah,
would have thought that it would have, I don't know, that kind of threw me for a loop. I
yeah. You would think she would probably, in all reality, that she should have had the least amount. But uh, so George and all the family went to Alaska. So they ended up wanting to come back and buy some property. And this is when the authorities had figured out that it was them that had killed them. And they had actually went and done some investigating, and they did searches, and they find that one of the investigators, she found a receipt for some shoes, and they decide to just look at that a little bit. So they go send the detective out and to find out what shoes that they had bought that day. Well, come to find out, she bought 2 pairs of shoes, and those shoes were the shoes that left the footprints, the bloody footprints.
Yeah,
In
she tried to be sneaky and get shoes that weren't the right sizes for the boys,
old
but
man shoes, yeah.
didn't work for her too good, did it?
No, no. And she kept the receipt.
Yeah, she's a
So
big
that
dummy. Well, and then at one point when they were in Alaska, Billy left him. Billy came back and was staying at Frederica's and left them.
yeah. Yeah, he was really close to his mama.
Well, something else that came out in the trial was the fact that they were also all on Adderall and speed.
Mm-hmm.
They had been traveling to buy, they were going to Kentucky, Florida, all over to get these pills. And I think that could have had a play in it. I actually had taken, or no, it wasn't Adderall, it was Adipex for weight loss. And oddly enough, I've taken that. My doctor had given it to me after I had my son. And it makes you, I remember calling her. I thought I was going to have a heart attack because I was like just speeding. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And I had to call the doctor. I was like freaking out. I had done cleaned my whole house in a day. I mean, she was like, yeah, you might want to cut him in half. And I was fine after that. But I think back to that and I think, my God, I don't know what that stuff would do, if you're abusing it. But I would think that that might have had a play in things too, because they were taking ungodly amounts of pills, you know.
Yeah, it's wild, and it's just crazy. But does anybody have any questions? Anything about it? I mean, yes, that woman is evil. She was Angela. Angela was the mastermind of uh, of everything. She controlled everything of all their lives. She controlled her sons, all their money. Uh, she it was just it's crazy what all.
And I see where Toaster said that she met some of them in Tennessee. Another thing that a lot of people don't know is they actually had went to Ryan Upchurch concert and met him
Hmm.
backstage and had pictures taken with him and stuff. Because that was when I first actually heard his name. I didn't know who he was until this happened. And Hannah Mae was pregnant, but she was so excited to go and meet him. You could just tell in the picture how happy she was. Uh, that may have been why they were in Tennessee.
Wow. I mean, Toaster Oven's got some information I didn't know anything about. That's crazy.
Yeah, I see where she's mentioning about the cars.
Yeah.
There was rumors too that Chris, I don't know if it was like a chop shop type of deal, and then he also sold cars. I'm not sure, so don't quote me on that, but I do know him and Billy would make deals with these cars and stuff too. So there was also that dynamic. I think that they've probably made money together here and there. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Different stuff. But they said that when he was in that house, when the boys said, Jake said when he come running out that he was distraught and said, "I just killed my best friend."
And they went to the funerals.
Yep, sure did.
They went to the funerals of these people. They've got pictures of George, Jake, and Billy. Angela didn't go. She took care of the babies. But they went to the funerals of these people.
Well, and they were well known in the community. The boys were real into the derby cars. That's how the Orange Hearts came about. For
Hmm.
me, they orange was always the color that they would use at the derby. So when after they passed, there were shirts made that were orange. So when the trial started, that's how I came up with like the Orange Hearts. Was because orange was kind of their color when it all first
Right.
happened. Um, so I'm kind of known for the Orange Heart girl and Law and Crime Chat now.
But yeah, there is so much information about this, and so many people. I mean, because I'm going through looking at these pictures, and I'm thinking, they're Dana's mother, and Chris's mother, and his brother, and all these people that we got to know
Oh, I
through the.
enjoyed Chris Newcomb's testimony. That was probably my favorite testimony during the trial,
Yeah.
especially when he was talking crap about Billy. I hate to say it, but I love that. He gave it heck, didn't he?
Yeah, he did. He did. Yeah, it was good. It was good. I I really enjoyed it. And this guy right here, he is the ballistics evidence the expert. This guy was one of my favorites also.
Yeah, he
But
definitely knows his weapons, don't he?
yes, he does. And you know what they did with the weapons to keep from the weapons being found? Which, if Jake hadn't confessed, and told everything, they would have never, ever, ever found those weapons. They took the weapons. I'm trying to find that picture. But they took the weapons and put them in cut them up, first of all, and got 5-gallon buckets and put them in concrete in those buckets. And then Frederica, which is Billy's mother, owns this big horse farm, and they have a pond out there, and they built a duck blind basically, and it's for the ducks to nest in, and they took it and put it out in the pond and used those 5-gallon buckets as weights.
They actually gave that to the grandfather for
Mm-hmm.
Father's Day, I believe, wasn't it?
Yes. Yes, they
Crazy.
did.
Yeah,
Yes.
I don't think I hated Jake during all this, but I do have to say that I don't think we would be where we're at if it wasn't for him telling the details
No.
and coming forward. You can't help but wonder if it ate him up, you know what I mean, to where he just had to get it off his chest. But I look at Jake differently than I have. Not that he's a great person or anything, but I do think that he,
There
out
it
of
is.
all of them, feels remorse,
Right. Right.
probably not much, but I think he does. They said the other night when I was watching the docket that he has all of like their records since they've been in jail, and he was saying that Jake hasn't gotten any trouble. He got one slip, and it was like because he was meeting with a lawyer when they passed his lunch out, and he got in trouble for that
Oh wow.
somehow. But he was talking about Angela, and I couldn't help but laugh because I'd already known, from watching Gigi, where Angela has been throwing a fit because her roommate was interested in her, if you get my drift. But he was saying, he said Angela is the biggest snitch. He said she's telling on everybody in there. So I'm
Oh, I
like,
can see
she's
that.
hating it. I'm
Oh
loving
yeah.
it.
Yeah. Yeah.
That's what she gets.
Yeah. Yeah. You just we I there for a long time that I was having a hard time sleeping, and I would pull up the uh, the recording of them interviewing her at the border when they came across back from Alaska, and they came across Canada, and they stopped them, and they took them all, and they interviewed Jake and Angela. Is that right? They may have interviewed all of them, I think, but the only one we got to hear that was the one that they did with Angela in the trial. And I would listen to that. And you could just hear that woman. I mean, the just the way that she's very narcissistic, and she controlled everything. And they bugged their vehicle when they stopped them. But they figured that out. They knew that they had done that when they got back in their vehicle, because they were telling everybody, shh, don't say anything, don't say anything. But
They
the,
also had the boys on taps. They were
yeah,
driving
that's what I started
semis
to say.
together.
BCI ended up, they bugged everything that they possibly could. The two boys, they ended up driving, like she said, driving a truck, and they bugged that truck. They bugged their phones. It was, we listened to a lot of testimony from the recordings. The recordings were very, very interesting. But can you imagine what it took for them to break all that concrete up and take out all that ammunition, all those pieces of the guns. It's just it's just
Yeah, they didn't
wild.
have an easy job when it came to this case. I
No,
remember in the beginning when DeWine come out, he kept describing it as one of the most bizarre cases. And I, for the first couple years, I'm like, man, what? I knew there was more behind it, but boy, after learning everything, bizarre's
that's a
definitely a
mild
word
word.
for it, huh?
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. It's definitely a mild word for it. It definitely is.
And
But
yeah,
yeah,
they lost a few family members during all this too. I know Toaster mentioned Leonard Manley. That was Dana's dad. And that man, I'll tell you, out of everybody that I learned of after this, he just grabbed my heart because he was such a genuine fella. And I hate that he didn't get to see all this through, because I do believe that he knew the first interview he did. You can tell that he knew, in my opinion, he knew who it was,
right,
I believe.
right.
But he showed up faithfully, to every hearing, and he would speak out, and he just, growing up down there, it's a different kind of, it's kind of like Tennessee. It's just a different area, and they said that Chris Sr. was, him and the boys would help people, people would get stuck in the snow, and they'd be the first ones to go and get them out. They was a good family despite the crap that they went through and had to, because there was a lot of talk, from the marijuana grows, and I hated
Right,
that part of it. I felt like the world kind of judged them off that, but they were really good, down to earth people, and it's a shame that this happened.
right.
There's good old Leonard.
Yeah, there he is. Here you see.
At my daughter-in-law went up there. They won't do nothing about it. And then they impounded my boy's truck. I mean,
Do you have any idea why someone would do this?
well, let's put it this way. I think, I ain't going to say right now, but I'm going to give them my hour. And if they don't release that truck and stuff, then I'm going to get a
Pause
couple
that,
of
Miss Chewy.
Thank you.
What's the truck?
Huh?
Right here, he is talking about in the beginning, they came and they took James Manley's truck. They had actually bugged his truck as well. And they came and took the truck because James found the bug and took it off. So he was under the light for a little bit. And that's why Leonard's so upset, because they had came and taken James's truck and they kind of put James through the ringer.
Right,
And he didn't have anything to do with it, but there was a call placed. Rumors was going around that a call was placed from Jake's phone to James's phone at like 3 a.m. But we find out during the trial that Angela had all their phones at the house. So I don't know. I still don't know about that phone call, what that was about.
mm-hmm.
But the family, and Bobby Joe, I believe, was made to take lie detector tests, because she was the first one to find him, and then James was the first to find Dana. But that's why Mr. Leonard was so upset here, because his family was being put through the ringer in the
Yeah.
beginning because they didn't have suspects.
Now this is Dana. Mr. Manley is Dana Rhoden's father.
Yes, she's a Manley. Her maiden
Yes.
name's Manley.
So this man right here, it was his daughter and 3 of his grandchildren.
Well, and his also,
And his son-in-law.
yep.
And, yeah. And his brother, was it his brother? No.
No.
That was Chris's brother. Yes.
Well, and another thing, that Leonard had shoes that were from Walmart. And I think that was another thing, they kind of had to sift through that.
Right. Because they were saying there for a little bit that they thought Leonard was the one that had the footprint in the blood, right?
Yep.
Right.
But
Yeah.
his shoes were a lot more worn. So I'm sure that's probably kind of how they was able to decipher that, you know.
Right.
But you could tell it, off rip that he didn't have nothing. I knew, you know, he didn't have nothing to do with it. You could just,
I
I mean, you
cried
can hear.
when I first when I saw this interview
Yeah, I still
it-
tear up.
yeah.
Just a minute ago, I started to tear up because
Yeah.
I feel bad for Leonard. You could just tell he was a good-hearted man, and
And what's sad is that he died before he got to see any justice.
yeah. Well, and I just pray to God that we get through Billy's trial. There's Geneva Rhoden, which is Chris's mother and Kenny's mother.
Hmm.
And I just pray that we get through this trial and she gets to see the justice, you know, because she hasn't been in good health during any of this, honestly.
No. She
And
did.
I know
But
last time she was in the courtroom, you know, I remember thinking, I just hope that she gets to see all this through, you know.
yeah. All right.
She
Well, listen.
also came out and did a plea video as well in the beginning. And she was just a crying. That video gets me too every time I watch it.
Yeah. We'll watch a few more minutes of this one.
What you said? They don't release the truck.
Not my truck, my boy's truck. No, he went out there. He had a big fictitious tag on it. I mean, and they said it was, and he could leave it there. Okay, they let my daughter and my grandson take cook cars. Okay, Saturday evening we had a big conflict up here with the deputies and things. Some of them is snot. I mean, pure snot.
Leonard, which victim are you related to?
Dana,
You're related to Dana. She's your
daughter.
Did you have any suspicion at all that?
Well, I ain't gonna say because it's gonna interfere with them out there. But let's put it this way: I've given 2 chances, and I give them a chance Saturday, and I asked DeWine over there at church in front of 150 people but you need to, if you want some information, you need to go down to the Lost Sheet Nursing Home and talk to the people down there.
Did your daughter ever fear for her safety up here?
Well, I ain't gonna say that neither.
Okay.
I promised him I'd wait an hour.
Okay.
It's just so sad. He's just beautiful.
Yeah, and he shouldn't have had to go through that, you know. I mean, imagine losing all these family members and then having to go through this BS, you know.
Right.
And I believe he knew. I believe he knew the whole time. Or had suspicion who was behind it, you know.
Yeah, I'm sure he did. No. Well, anybody, y'all got any questions or anything? I mean, I think we've lost most of, well, we're down to 12 people in here, so honestly, I thought we'd have a bigger audience. I figured there would be more people that would be interested in this than what is. I don't know. What do you think?
Yeah, it's Friday night. People are probably out doing stuff, you know.
Yeah.
And it's one of the last days we're going to have decent weather, at least around here, anyways. But the case is so complicated. I kind of feel bad because I feel like I kind of go all over the place with this, but there's so many details and so much to it. It's kind of hard to follow
Right.
along, you know. But
Right.
I think maybe we can even do another live and get into the more nitty gritty of the trials and all that good stuff too.
Yeah, let me see if I can find that. Bobby Joe's 911 call.
I'm gonna try to go to Billy's trial. I was kind of glad that they have it in May because I'll be done with school at the end of May. And if they're saying it's going to be 8 weeks, then I should be able to at least get to the end of it. Because I know during George's trial, I would have loved to have been there when they heard, you know, when they read at least the verdict. But I do talk to one of the family members, a real nice guy, and I'd like to go down and just show support, for them, because this has been one heck of a ride for them. You know what I mean?
Right. Let's see.
911. Yes, I need help. Get the 40. Let's go. Hold on.
This is Billy Joe's 911 call.
Tell me the address. What's the address? Give me just a second. We walked to the mailbox. I think my brother-in-law's dead. Okay, what's the address? Give me just a second.
Mm.
Second and second. 911. Yes, I need help. Get the 40. Let's go. Hold on. I need you to tell me the address. What's the address? Give me just a second. We walked to the mailbox. I think my brother-in-law's dead. Okay, what's the address? Give me just a second. Ma'am, you gotta tell me what's going on. There's blood all over the house. Okay. My brother-in-law's in the bedroom and looks like I beat the hell out of him. Okay. There's blood all over the front room. Ma'am, can you tell me what county that's in? Is it Pike County? It's Pike County? Yes, and they drug him in the bedroom. Okay. I need you to get out of the house. Did you drive over there? Yes, I did. Okay, what's your name? Mine. What's your brother-in-law's name? Huh? What's your brother-in-law's name? Ma'am? Yeah. What's his name? Chris Rhoden and Gary Rhoden. Chris and Gary Rhoden? Both of them dead. Looks like they're dead. You think they're both dead? I think they're both dead. Looks like someone has beat the fuck out of them. Okay. Is there anybody else in the house? Not that I know of. Okay. The door was locked when we got here, but I know where the key was at. And I went in, and they were laying on the floor. Okay. I need you to get out of the house and wait. I'm done now. Okay? I'm standing outside right now. Okay. Just stay out of the house. Don't let anybody go in there, okay? Yeah. All right. We got deputies on the way, okay? Thank you. You're welcome.
Mm. That gets me. Gets me every time. Are you still with us, Hasty?
Yes, ma'am.
I don't know.
Yeah, I think some of the most important stuff for George's trial too was the tapes between him and Jake, showing how vile and
Right.
hostile that George could be. I think that's what got his butt.
Jinkies! Hey, girl, why don't you come up here? Come up here and let's talk a little bit. Because I think we're probably Well, don't know what's going on with my link. There it is. Yeah, maybe we can chit chat about. Just have a little chit chat now, since we've lost a lot of our audience already. Ashley, what do you think? You feel like chit chatting a little bit?
Yeah, I don't have anything else to do. I'm always
Okay.
down for a chit chat.
Come on, Jinkies, come up here. Come up here and talk with us. Let's have a little Have a little powwow. Maybe she can come up here. She ain't already left us. Anybody else wants to come up? The link's there.
Where's Annie Sherry at tonight?
She was in here. I'm getting ready to get in the shower. If you're still on, then I get out. Okay. All right. Nana, hey. How are you? We've had a good little conversation about the Pike County murders. A little small of an audience than I was expecting, but it'll be okay. Maybe I guess because it's not so up to date, I guess I would say, it'll probably be a lot more interesting when Billy's trial comes up. That way we'll have a lot more content to be able to keep it going. So hi, Lucky Charms.
Well, and I'd like to get down there because I'm
that would be great.
Hour and a half away. Well, I think it's closer to 2 hours now, but I'd also like to go down outside of the trial and just visit and kind of get video of the scenes and
Right.
because from what I'm told, everything, toys are even still outside of Frankie's house.
Oh, wow.
They
Isn't
had
that crazy?
collected all the trailers for evidence, all the cars, all of those cars on Chris's lot. I don't know how many there were, but the evidence had to be literally, they had to basically, have a whole place for all this stuff. That was a whole nother issue that we haven't even got into, was Charlie Reeder, the sheriff, and
Yeah.
all that mess.
Yeah, he ended up going to prison.
Yeah.
It's I'm telling you, if you could, it would take, you can't do this all in one night.
Oh,
This
no.
would take this for you to really get into details about it. It has to be, it will have to be like, okay, tonight this is what we're going to talk about. We're going to talk about, what happened this day, because I mean it's wild. I mean it's a wild ride. And to do it justice, it would take weeks to do it.
Yep.
To do it justice. Pope Dragon, you want to come up, Nana? Jinky said she'd come up whenever she gets out of the shower. But anybody that wants to come up, let's have a little bit of chit chat. We'll talk about whatever. Whatever.
One thing too is this case. I don't think a lot of people really know a lot about this case, because it did happen in such rural area that it's just not really well known. I think a lot of people heard about it during George's trial.
Yeah. And I know they're moving. What do you think is going to happen with the change of venue? Do you think they'll get it moved?
I hope not. That's the one thing I hated to see Judge Deering go. I know he was an older judge, but I thought he did a phenomenal job. I loved him. And this new judge, I don't know. I didn't agree with his paper. I'm going to make a decision in writing and making us wait.
Right.
But
the only thing is that is the impact that it will have on that county, because of the impact that it already had with George's trial, about how many millions that it costs that county, and that they're going to have to foot the bill for Billy's trial too.
The docket touched on that, though. I can't remember now what he said, but he was basically saying how they wasn't gonna, basically they wouldn't have to pay for it. Type, I think, is what he was getting at. I had to drive at the end of his live the other day, so I kind of missed the end of it. But He was saying something because the lady he was talking to had brought it up, and she was asked about it, and he basically was saying, because they mentioned that, and he was like, no, it's not gonna, they're not gonna have to pay for it. So I don't know how all that works. The law, all that law stuff's mumbo jumbo to me, so I don't get it all. So
Yeah, and I'm telling y'all, this is absolutely one of the most fascinating cases that I have ever followed. I mean, there is so many twists and turns and stories that you just couldn't, fathom that. Well, how in the world did they come up with that? You know, and how she ended up, you know, just manipulating everyone.
well, another thing I don't think people realize now. I've been in groups from day one when it comes to this case, so I get a lot of information through some groups, but on paperwork for Billy, it was on all of them had the paperwork. So I can't remember if it was the indictment or what exactly it was, but in that paperwork, it mentions Billy with other unalivings.
Jubilee!
So we may find out,
Giving me kisses for me.
we might find out more information during Billy's trial because, yeah, he's accused of doing other stuff. They just haven't said who, what. So I don't know what that's about. That's kind of a mystery.
Yeah. I don't know. I know it's like I said, I just to do it justice, we'll get into more in depth with it when Billy's trial comes up.
Oh,
But
you
I
gotta
just
play his where he met with the
oh my
detective.
god,
You
it's
gotta play that 'cause
crazy.
that was
That is
wild.
hilarious. It is funny too. It is really funny. Come on, somebody come up here with us. Somebody come up here and help us out. Lean on me, girl. When's the last time you was on panel? You pretty thing. Come up here and talk with us.
Where's Toaster? She knows a lot about this case too.
I've never heard Toaster Oven on panel. Have you?
No, it's time to break her in.
But I'm gonna tell you that she can do some talking. I can tell you. I've had the privilege of being with Toaster Oven twice.
I
Yep.
can't wait to get to meet you guys.
Yeah, it's we've got good people in this community. Good people in this community. Chill Billy, you want to come up? You're welcome to come up. Da, da, da. Jinky said she would when she gets out of the shower. Horsewoman, anybody that's in here, anybody wants to come up, you're welcome to come up for a panel. Janice. Oh, we got 19 in here now, so that's better. I think that's the most I've had all night. Yes, yes. Billy's trial will be live. It will be live. I'm just hoping they don't let. Well, is it true the state of Ohio lets people opt out?
Yes, ma'am.
They have that option.
Well, what they did last time, and this is the first time I've seen it, but they gave them like a sheet that they could fill out and they could opt out because Jake and Angela, I believe, opted out, and that's
Oh yeah,
where
they did.
the docket ended up buying those transcripts of their testimony.
Right.
So that's where like what he was talking about was the talk in chambers that he never released, which, like I said, I don't know what that could be about. Lord only knows during this mess.
It's okay. They know me.
But there was a
I
lot that
appreciate
came
it.
out, I think, even in, George the tapes that George and Jake was on.
Yeah. Yeah, it's like I said, every morning I would get up. I'm telling you, I had the earphone. No matter what I was doing, I was listening to that trial. If I was driving, my phone was hooked to my Bluetooth, and Lord girl, I was watching every minute of it. I'll never forget whenever I had went with my daughter to the dentist, and that was the day that they decided George was going to go on, to testify.
Oh, I was shocked.
I know. I was like, and I was in uh, Grundy, Virginia. If you know what I'm talking about, where Grundy, Virginia is, but it's a little bitty spot in the mountains, and to drive from there, losing reception, going in and out of the mountains, I was so aggravated. I was so upset because here I'm thinking, oh please, oh please, oh please, because I mean this was huge. It was huge when George took the stand. It was because George, he played innocent. That he didn't have anything to do with it.
Did you
And
believe
Bill,
any of his crap?
oh no.
I hate to admit it, but I kind of felt bad once I realized that he didn't off anybody, but I can't help but wonder why he didn't come forward. You know, you'd think he would have been the first one to come forward.
I know. But
And when Jake came out, I was that shocked. That was just a bombshell, literally.
yeah, I know. And he's the one who done most of the killing. I think let's see. Billy killed Gary and Kenneth, right? That's all.
Well, the docket mentioned the other night about something about him possibly shooting Frankie, but I don't remember that. But I don't know because that trial lasted so long and there were so many details that I'd been waiting all these years to hear that it was overwhelming, you know.
I don't think so. Because Frankie and Hannah were in bed together, and remember Jake said he came there and he stood at the end of their bed, and then he said he killed both of them, from what I remember.
I wanted to go this last time, but my emotions, I thought there's no way because
Janice, you were born in Grundy?
so much
Really?
stuff was coming out that
Oh my gosh, girl, my dad was born in Grundy. I've got family from Grundy. There is part of Grundy that is named after my family. Wow, it's a small world. That's crazy. Yeah, my grandfather and great grandfather are buried up there. Actually, about 4 years ago, my dad asked me to go up there with him, and that he wanted to show me where his dad was buried. Oh my goodness! Do you know? Do you go there anymore? Do you still know about it? About where everything is there? Because it's crazy. Grundy, believe it or not, has a two-story Walmart. The parking garage. There's a parking garage underneath it, and you have to there's like two levels. I think it's two levels parking garage. And then you go up escalators to the Walmart. But there's a curve. There used to be a little convenience store on here on the left. But there's a curve you go around, and there up on the hill, there's this little tiny, little small cemetery. And that's where that's where my grandfather's buried. But yeah, it's a small world. Small world. Come on, somebody come up on panel with us. And let's do some chit chat before we have to end this thing. It's been an hour and 40 minutes, and I don't.
Are you
I'm
familiar
beginning.
with Tazewell? I think's how it's pronounced.
Tazewell, Tennessee, or
Or
Virginia?
Virginia. That's where my grandma is from.
Yeah, I know where Tazewell is, but there's a Tazewell, Virginia, and there's a Tazewell, Tennessee. Tazewell, Tennessee is very, very close to where I am right now. But Tazewell, Virginia, I have been through there.
Yeah, I just got my dad passed when I was young and I didn't know much about his family, so I found out that he had grown up in I pronounced Yeager, West Virginia. So I went and took a trip down there and drove by his old house and went through McDowell, West Virginia. But I got to go through Tennessee, and that area is a beautiful area. I would have never guessed it
Oh,
was so pretty.
I love Tennessee. See, I grew up in Virginia. I grew up in Virginia, lived my whole life in Virginia, and then we moved to Tennessee 7 years ago. But yeah, I love it here.
My son's grandparents live in Virginia. They've got a whole bunch of land, and he's inheriting some of it, once they pass or whatever. So I've been down there to visit there. I can't even remember what area it is now. I'll have to ask him, but it's beautiful.
Yeah.
But
This
Tennessee was probably the prettiest state I've ever been in. I've been in quite a few states, but I couldn't believe how pretty it was.
Oh, it is. It's just the rolling hills and and the mountains. It's just gorgeous. Very gorgeous.
Yeah,
I
I
love
wasn't used to all them mountains. I'll tell you what, they'll get you. Get used to them, boy.
it.
And that
Yeah.
driving up them things, that was a nightmare. It was the middle of the night. It was like 4 a.m. I was like, oh man.
Oh, it's beautiful in the summertime and the fall. Oh, there he is.
Look here. I'm that.
Hello. You. Good to see you. Hi, pretty girl.
How we doing?
All right, how are you two, Billy?
I'm hanging in there.
Well, good. That's good.
We was talking to Jinkies a while ago, and she said you was on. I don't know why I
Yeah.
didn't get the. Well, I mean, I was on my phone, so I couldn't see that I got a notification, but it didn't pop up for some reason.
Huh. I don't know. We've been talking about this case that Hattie and we got just drawn into. Of course, I understand why Hattie did, but I like watching trials, and because I'm a true crime freak. But we got to talking about we're going to cover that, and the father's trial is getting ready to start in May, and it's a wild case. I'm telling you.
Where did it happen at?
Pike County, Kentucky.
Ohio.
I'm sorry, not Pike County, Kentucky. Pike County, Ohio.
Oh,
Yeah, just across the border into Ohio. But
I had never heard about it. I didn't know. I mean, I heard you talking about it the other day, and then what I've heard you mentioning on here is all I know about it.
Yeah, it was a family of 4 that killed a family of 8 members of a family, basically,
Lord.
over custody of a little girl. Yeah, it's just wild, and like I said, we watched the trial. That was in October a year ago. Was when that trial was, wasn't it?
A year
Pretty
ago?
sure it's
Yeah, it
it was
was
a year ago.
October to December.
yeah,
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 it was a year ago. You didn't watch
it
it.
was a year ago.
And that was 2020.
No,
Wait, now 2022.
2022.
2022.
Because it's 2020.
Now.
And next year is going to be 2024.
It's almost.
That's
We just
usually
got
what comes through.
And then
we
it's
just
gonna
got a
be
couple months.
Okay.
Yeah.
If you say so. Don't rush it. Let's do it 1 year at a time.
I know. I can't.
A little bit.
Yeah.
Are you going to help us decorate the Christmas tree again this year?
Every year I decorate.
No.
Yeah, but
So
summer's tree.
you're gonna come up there and do it again like we did last year.
Yeah. Every year
Oh.
I will.
Every year you're going to? All right.
Everywhere.
Every single year. It's
The
summer
two of
day.
you guys are fired, you and Jinkies. Both of you forgot to text me today about the ornaments too.
Oh my gosh. I'm sorry. I'm sorry. I was
What was it I was supposed to do?
I just remembered when you said that.
Me and Jinkies both was supposed to text her and tell her to mail the ornaments. Thank you, Lean on Me. This is I actually took this from my backyard. This is one of the many Tennessee sunsets. We are fortunate. We see this just about every evening. It's beautiful. I love it. I bet you see a lot of them, don't you, Chilvelly? From
Oh yeah.
yeah.
Yeah, well you can sit right here and look right down basically the Tennessee Valley, right down in that direction.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it's certain times of the year is better than others, but it's just amazing.
Yeah, this time of year, whenever it gets about 5, 6 o'clock, and that sun's getting right over the horizon, you can't see going down the road.
Oh, I know. And sunglasses don't do you a bit of good.
No.
Here's another one. There's another one, Lean on Me. There's one. Here's my happy place. I want to be on the water. That's where I'm the happiest. On the boat, on the water, fishing. There's some brick wall. Yeah, I like my backgrounds.
Yeah, you can't buy them sunsets.
Mm-mm. No, it's people pay big time just for paintings for stuff like that. But it's yeah, I see it. We'll see it all the time. Yeah, Nana, lake life's wonderful, ain't it? Okay, Hatchie, you can come back up if you want to. You don't have to, but you're welcome to if you want to. We put the link back out for you. So we are decorating the Christmas tree again this year, everybody, for all the missing. The link we've got. I know Jinkies has the link on her community page for the Amazon wish list. So if you haven't already, go on there and get your ornaments sent in because we ain't got long. We're decorating it
Less than a
November
month.
4th. Yeah, November 4th. So.
Is it nothing that you need? Can I have it?
Yeah.
I can't do it.
Because she's growing.
She's a mess. I've had her all week, last weekend, plus this weekend. I think she's going home Sunday.
Yeah.
Maybe.
You don't have to wear a mask.
Because she told you that you don't have to wear a mask.
No, her mama's been
Yeah.
sick. She's
Yeah.
got the.
Oh.
Days left.
She had
She
the
had to
COVID
see. Ugh. Well, good. You got to stay with Daddy then, didn't you?
Yeah.
I know that didn't hurt her feelings none.
Nah,
Oh,
I don't have one. There's probably one laying around up here.
Poppy? Probably at your Poppy.
I don't know. Hey, is Nana still in here? What y'all about?
yeah, she's still in here.
Yes, scissors. Oh,
Give me one of them oranges. Give me one of them oranges. Like this. The funny looking. Yeah.
The ones that has a hole in it?
Yep.
Because some of them don't. Oh my goodness, that's hot.
What'd you do?
Who stepped on the block? That's hot.
No, it ain't.
Yeah, it is. I'm
Tell
making my-
Tell her I got some more UT stuff.
Daddy, I'm gonna go get a sharpie.
Oh, she's seeing it.
Oh.
The ornaments.
Yeah, Christmas ornaments.
Oh, how pretty.
I've started making them, doing the epoxy.
Uh-huh.
I'm trying to make one and put the pictures in it, and then do the QR code on the back of it.
Oh,
That way,
okay.
that way it'll be a clear ornament, and they can literally flip it around and take a picture of it, and it takes
Oh,
them right to
wow.
the website.
Oh, that would work good.
Yeah, I've got a whole UT collection that I've been.
I just raised myself up the steps.
Hey, I was going to ask you, do you know what area the glare is where he is?
Not right off.
Because I know I heard, see, he was doing a live with the Turtle Boy a couple nights ago. Or maybe it was last night. I can't remember. But anyway, he said he's in East Tennessee.
I've heard that, but I don't know exactly where.
And I'm thinking, I just wonder where, Because I mean, I wouldn't dox him, but
Yeah.
I just like, because you never know, when you're out and about, if you think, if you're around the area that he is, that you might see him, because I enjoy watching him.
I don't.
You don't?
No.
I do. I do. That's just like him in Morbid. I was liking to watch Morbid. Because I mean,
True.
I like it because I mean they are into the tragedy pimps.
Yeah, I mean,
They're-
some of them are all right, but some of them I just,
Don't like.
I don't know. They just kind of disgust me. You know what I mean?
Yeah, I
I
get it.
can't stand that.
There are some things that is like some of the language
That
that he uses.
I mean,
Yeah, I would
just the way
never.
that
Give me the
I mean, and it's not just those two. I mean, there's others out there that I don't like just because of the way they exploit.
Yeah,
Mm-hmm. What'd you do? Oh, you made it out of a sticker.
he moved Knoxville. Toaster Oven says he's in Knoxville. Nana says he's moved. She said that Nana said she needs 2 more of those kits you made.
I know, that's what I was just looking at. What kits was it? I gave her a couple. I don't remember.
He gave you a bad time about Summer's Day? Oh,
Well, something I noticed about that day, anybody that had anything negative to say about it,
mm-hmm.
they wasn't there.
That's true.
I mean, you know, they was not there at all. All right, Nana. What color? Colors. If you want, you can email me. Chillbilly at gmail.com. Chillbilly Creations at gmail.com. Ain't it?
Chillbilly Creation.
At gmail.com.
Chillbilly Creations.
Yeah.
She'll be your secretary before you know it. She'll
I
have
know.
everything, like keep everything in line for you.
Oh, she's already been making her own stuff and coming up with her own ideas, and it cracks me up.
And my own words.
What?
Yeah, I make up my own words.
Oh, you just make up random stuff, though.
Hey, that's creativity.
Oh, she don't.
He was very verbally abusive. Told me I should spend my $2,000 on something else.
Now, are you talking about glare or morbid? Because if it's morbid, I'd just say, don't worry about him. He ain't nowhere near here.
No, he's in
I
California.
see glare. If he's local, then yeah.
The glare.
He's just a perfect example of one of those people that had something to say that wasn't there.
Well,
because there was plenty of us there. We seen what went on. We know what went on. We know what we was there for.
Right.
Same thing with Bellaton. Same thing with the rodeo. Same thing coming up in Bull's Gap. You know.
Right.
We'll know what's going on, and that's all that matters. And if we can,
I think what I'm going to do, I'm going to get me some flyers. I think I'm going to set up a small booth here in Bean Station on the 21st, and that way, we can, because it's the same weekend as Bull's Gap. So I think I will do better. It would be better for me to, it will be better for all of them really, if I hand out some flyers here. And then
now, I don't know if, we discuss it here or on Jinkies, either one, but Nana's in here, she can help us. Who's going to be taking the lead on that day, on that weekend for the Bull's Gap thing?
But Nana's not going to be there.
I know, that's what I say. Nana's not going to be there. I don't know if TT's going to be there. Toaster, I guarantee you, Toaster will be there. She's at every one of them.
Yeah. Well, that's why I told Toaster, I don't think I'm going to be able to make Bull's Gap.
I'll be able to come down. I probably won't get to stay a long length of time each day if I come each day. Mm-hmm. Or I might not be able to make it to all 3 days. That's the only thing about it, Right.
But I think I'll go to the Bean Station one and hand out some, hand some flyers out there. See, Toaster,
I know, Toaster, you're right. She's right there.
It's like they are doing with the booze. They complained because Candace wasn't at Summer's Day and complained when she did come. then they bash other ones who come.
That's exactly right.
You know, I don't care what we do. They're going to say something, no matter what it is. I mean, Candace, no matter what she does, they're going to find something wrong with it every time.
What's that? Oh yeah. What are you doing? Cutting
TT
stuff?
coming to my to Nana's to get all the summer stuff. Oh, okay.
Oh,
It starts Friday morning. TT works Friday.
well, I'll have to work out Friday, but I get off at 3:30, so I can be there at
That
4:30.
surprises me that they do it on a Friday day.
Well, they're doing it's more in the afternoon on Friday. I don't think it actually starts until that afternoon on Friday. I mean, I think I took a picture of the flyer.
Daddy, can I draw on this cup?
Yes, ma'am. I don't care.
Yay! But you only use them for epoxy.
Epoxy.
Back to sleeping.
Nana,
No, it's Friday and Saturday from 10 to 6 and Sunday from 12 to 4. The 20th, 21st, and 22nd.
wow.
So it is. So I mean, but like I say, that Friday I won't be able to be there until that evening,
Which cup do you
and
want?
it'd only be just an hour or two.
Yeah.
Ooh.
So Trevor's supposed to be at the racetrack. Yeah, he's
Daddy,
going to
pick
the
a number
racetrack that
between
weekend.
6. Pick a number between 6 and 1.
Oh, 1 and 6. 4.
1, 2, 3, 4. Winner.
Winner. All right, I like that game.
Winner, winner, chicken dinner.
Or charcoal dinner.
Or what, charcoals? You say charcoal dinner?
She ain't in the shower, hash brown. She's sitting here watching this, saying, "Man, I need to get my butt in the shower." Or no, wait a minute. Her live starts here in a minute, don't it?
Oh, she going live?
She said something about it.
Oh, okay.
I don't know.
Oh, she just texted me. Let me see what she says.
She's got one planned for 10.
Hey, I was going to come over when I go to shower, but I've already timed for my live.
Tell her we don't want to hear it. Come on up anyway.
Oh, well, listen at you. Yeah, she's going to take whatever little bit of audience that I have now. Everybody's going to run over to Jinkies. Well, what about that? I'm telling you.
I think we ought to boycott her. Cancel
That's
her.
fine. That's fine.
We'll
I've been
cancel
on here. I've been on here 2 hours, so that's good.
Well, you'll be over there too. What are you talking about? You'll
Yeah.
be over there.
Get off the line. Don't get off the line.
She's talking about going over to Jinkies.
No,
Why not?
because I'm not over there.
Well, that's
You
what
will
we're
be.
talking about is going over there.
No,
You don't want to go over there?
I do if she goes.
Yeah, that's something she said a while ago, Miss Cheery. She sat there when me and Jinkies was talking about you being on live. She said, "Really? Miss Chewy's on live?" She goes, "I want to go on Miss Chewy's." And I was like, "All right, we'll see." And then she said, "She's my favorite."
Oh my gosh. Well, Emmy, you're my favorite too, baby.
Thank you.
I can't wait to see you. I'll see you soon, okay? Okay. All right. Well, thank you for
Hey,
coming.
Nana, get with me whenever you get some of them flyers with codes and stuff made, because I'm wanting to try to get some ahead of time to do with this epoxy. I'm wanting to play with it to put the stuff. Actually, let me show you real quick.
Lean on me. That's awesome. The more we get out there, the better. Thank you. Yes,
So
little bitty is the cutest.
Here's one that I tried to make, but as you can see, it's not setting up. I don't know what I did wrong, but one side of it actually it's a picture. You can just barely see it. It's through the mold, but the other side has the QR code.
Oh wow, the QR code you can see really well.
Yeah, but it's not setting up. I don't know if I did the mix wrong or if it's the fact that it's got paper in it, it's causing it to mess up or what. I ain't figured it out yet, so I'm trying to figure that out. But my other option is to take one of these and just engrave like a little circle inside of it. Yeah, like a little circle inside of it, and then set the picture in it, and then cover over top of it with clear. That way the picture would be. That way the picture
Now
would
that
be.
looks,
Yeah,
that looks good.
and it wouldn't be orange. That's for my UT fans out there. I mean, I was just putting these together just to see what the modes look like. Then I did green ones for some reason because I like green.
Well, alrighty. I guess we'll hop over to Jinkies, but thank you for coming up on panel a little bit.
But then I put
Emmy,
4B.
Emmy,
thank you for coming on panel.
You're welcome.
I love you.
look at you with the chocolate on your face. Golly, your host still.
My kids hated that.
Come here. All right, I'll see you guys later. I'll see you over
All right.
Jinkies.
All right. Thank you. Bye. I appreciate everybody that's coming in. Thank you so much. We will I'm probably gonna try to maybe schedule another live on a different day. I'm trying to get my audience and try to come up with something. I know I've had some suggestions about different cases, but I think we'll try to find something, a case on something that's a little more to date until Billy's trial does. Because I'm telling y'all, when Billy's trial comes up, you guys are going to be you just don't know what this case consists of. It is just wild, and I know y'all enjoy it. So we'll take day by day, and try to. My husband would kill me for getting on here every day, but I love talking about it. But hi, Exploited Innocence. Thank you for stopping by. Yeah, but I've been on here for over 2 hours now, and Jinkies has decided she's gonna do a live. So I guess we'll have to hop over there and give her some love. But I appreciate everybody that's come in, and I thank you so much. I appreciate the opportunity to be on your screens for a little while. But I love everybody. I love each and every one of you. I do. So I'll see y'all over on Jinkies panel, okay? Thank you again. Bye.